You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast. Ding, ding, ding. We don't have time for this bullshit. We have so much to talk about. Shut the hell up, Ransom. No one has time for your insanity. We've got so much to talk about. If you hadn't guessed, this is the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. How do you know that? Because you clicked on the stupid thing that says Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. Right? So you know what you're listening to. You know what we got. We talk wrestling on the regs. A weekly wrestling podcast. Such a thing you should subscribe to because it's awesome. We have so much to talk about. We don't have time for this. To get through everything, it's going to be super hard. That's what she said. Nope, we don't have time. Listen, Ransom the Madman, Pook the Strong Man, strong style. Nope, that's the guy that punches in the dick. Pook the Barbarian. Hey, I'll get it one day. Beef the Legend, and retaining, once again, the best damn cruiserweight champ there ever was, Tiger Bomb Tom.
You pronounced his name incorrectly. It's Tiger Bomb Tom.
Okay, we also don't have time for your boo-hooey. For your boo-hooey.
Yeah.
Oh, he tied and didn't win. Guess who still has the belt?
Get a helmet. Let's talk wrestling.
Okay, well, let's just keep talking over everybody.
Exactly.
So, oh my gosh, it's like Melanie. We've got Black Friday, take 2, except it's Thursday. Wrestlemania happened. What a disappointing night 2. What a decent night 1. And also a disappointing follow-up to WrestleMania, which was Monday Night Raw. I don't know what the hell is happening with WWE, but they're clearly not doing it right. The only thing they're doing right is allowing Chris Jericho to show up on the Broken Skull sessions. Hey, guys, it's happened again. More cuts. People be fired. What's going on?
If I may, because I did the Fast Count News really quick, because I have the article pulled up here just for this exact occasion. I found this out via webisjericho.com, ironically. And it said it was exactly 1 year since the last mass firing, which we all know, Eric Rowan, Primo, Epico, Zack Ryder, etc. ad nauseum, that whole rogues gallery. Now this year, we're kicking it off. Not nearly as bad, but there was one added since the initial post. I'm sure in the next day or two, there might be a handful more, but we'll see. WWE has released the following superstars, okay? They are wishing them their best in their future masturbations. So, the following superstars have been released. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, the Iconics, are no more. Mickie James, for, like I said on Fast Count News for the 9 millionth time, God bless her. Bo Dallas, so bye-bye any chance of doing something interesting with Bo and Bray. Chelsea Green, so again, she can go and be off with her significant other, as can Peyton Royce, presumably. Kalisto, which is one that I think is a little that Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, thank you, are still there. Not anything against them. I just think Kalisto is, has the bigger lineage, obviously. Tucker from Heavy Machinery is gone, so no Heavy Machinery reunion. Wesley Blake, which okay, I kind of get. And then the big one, the keynote one here, is Samoa Joe. They let Samoa Joe go, but it's like WWE is trying just to create, oh, look at this gold. He's awesome on promos. He's awesome in the ring. He's good on commentary. Joe does everything right, and we're going to just let him go because reasons. Now, to be fair, as I said again on Fast Count News, Joe's a little long in the tooth, and he has had a couple injuries. However, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have any gas left in the tank. Boys, what do you guys think of these releases before we get into possible maybe predicting some other releases coming up? What do you guys think of all this?
I think the numbers don't lie, and they spelled disaster for Samoa Joe today at WWE. It sucks.
Okay.
It's sad to see him go, because even if he wasn't going to be used in the ring, he was really good on commentary.
Yep.
So I mean, at the very least, they could have kept him doing that. Now maybe Joe didn't want to stay on commentary. I don't know, but I mean, we won't know until we hear something straight from the horse's mouth. I was really scratching my head at the announcement of Chelsea Green, because I don't know. It seemed like she had been like, it seemed like that she was signed to NXT, and then maybe she wasn't, and then she was again, and like they've been very fucking wishy-washy on getting her foot in the door. And at one point, wasn't she on Monday Night Raw? Didn't she have a match against like Charlotte or something on Monday Night Raw?
I thought on SmackDown. Beef, can you correct me on that one?
I don't know. I thought it was Raw.
I thought like within the last year, she was at least on Monday Night Raw once, because we were like, oh, okay, cool, here it comes. Like, there's Chelsea Green. And then, nope, she was nowhere to be found. And then all of a sudden, hey, she's going to be back again. And then, nope, nowhere to be found. And now she's fucking gone. She gone.
It's almost like she just had a match at WrestleMania and then got released.
I know, right?
Pretty much.
My dudes, you're looking at this the wrong way. And yes, we weep for their WWE careers that were unfulfilled. But at the end of the day, and like Tom said, we won't know until we start hearing some stuff. But I don't know that these aren't like requests.
Couldn't these be people that have wanted to leave?
Right. You look at Chelsea Green. Her happily boyfriend is now an Impact. You look at Peyton Royce. Her husband, I think they're married. Sean Spears is in AEW.
Yep.
Right.
Billy Kay is obviously Peyton Royce's best friend. They've been best friends since teenagers. Samoa Joe's been sitting at the fucking commentary table for longer than fucking Braun Strowman's had choo-choo noises. I don't understand. I don't understand. That's like this is like that time that WWE tried to put Punk on commentary, and he was so damn good, and then they just didn't bring him back.
Yep.
They kept him off TV until he was healed. I'm like, why the fuck? Samoa Joe hurts. It really stings. But at the end of the day, I know Samoa Joe's going to end up in AEW. I'm very willing to believe that the Iconics are probably going to end up in AEW.
I thought, and I postulated this. I don't know if you watched the Fast Count News or not, Beef. I postulated, I think, now obviously AEW is kind of the promised land right now. It's like anyone who's released that has name of value, we kind of wouldn't mind seeing go into AEW. However, I think Joe would do really, really well in Japan.
You know what I want to see go to Japan? Is Tucker. I want to see Tucker go to New Japan, because
just be Gaijin Haas. Just big Gaijin Haas.
Yep, he's got like the Michael Elgin vibe, but twice as talented and not near as rapey.
Ooh.
So, Tucker's a guy that I could see doing well in Japan. Joe, and Tom mentioned this as well. Joe's not a spring chicken. He's had his main events. He's come up, and let's not forget, he came up with the SoCal crew. I'm talking Excalibur. I'm talking Super Dragon. I'm talking the Young Bucks. I'm talking Kazarian. I'm talking Scorpio Sky. Guys who are in AEW. There's not a doubt in my mind that he shows up on AEW. It's just a matter of when and whether they're calling him Samoa Joe.
But here's the one problem, and we've talked about this before. It's nice that that there are options for everybody to go, for wrestlers outside of WWE. It's not the only place available now, and we know that, and that's great. But yes, we don't want to see the AEW roster get so bloated before they have another TV show. Because, yes, it's nice that they have AEW Dark, and it's nice that they have AEW Dark Elevation, and that's great. We actually got a couple of our local guys from IWC. We had Andrew Palace and Cole Carter just recently on, I think, either Dark or Dark Elevation, or
it was
one of each.
I think it was
Cole
Dark
Carter was
Elevation.
Cole Carter was on
Elevation.
Dynamite. He jobbed to who did he job to?
Lance
He
Archer.
jobbed to Archer.
Yeah.
last
And then
night.
last, I think it was last week or the week before last, one of the two, Andrew Palace was on Dynamite. He was in the crowd. He was a quote unquote fan. I think
he was there too, because I caught him in the background. I'm like, is that Andrew Palace or is that Griff Garrison? I couldn't tell.
No,
And
yeah,
then,
because remember I sent it to you guys in the group chat, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Andrew Palace. And then I checked his timeline because I'm friends with him, and I'm like, yep, that was him. They were like, everybody was like, enjoy that beer, it was well deserved. But again, going back to we don't want to get the AEW roster too bloated before there's another national TV show, a proper show.
See, everybody keeps saying that, and everybody keeps talking about how it's too full. There's too many people in AEW, and yet, like, everybody's got a place. Like, maybe everybody doesn't make TV every single week, but that's okay. As long as you have a place, as long as you have a feud, as long as you're on TV, a couple times a month, I think that's all right. And you can handle your other business on Dark and Dark Elevation. AEW, for as much talent as they have, I think they're handling it very well.
Don't get me wrong. Go ahead.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
Now, as we can tell by the way that my picks normally pan out, my theories don't tread any water. But I have a theory nonetheless. Is it possible that AEW is collecting talent, not wasting it? Like Beef said, everybody has a place. You might not make TV every week, but everybody has a place. They're building a roster. Is it possible that they want to get either a complete roster solidified for a second brand, or have a roster that's bloated enough that they can take that pitch, whether it's to one of the Turner networks, TNT, whatever, or to a different network, and say, hey, we want to do a second show. Look at the roster we have. We can have A through whatever on the first show. We can have whatever through Z on the second show. It's not going to be stale. You'll have new people, new faces on each show. It's not going to be a repeat. Like show 2 is not going to be just a repeat of show 1. Is it possible they're building up their brand talent-wise so that then they can take that pitch and say, look at what we have. Look at what we can do with a second show. That way you have all your ducks in a row before you pitch a second show and say, hey, I think we can do it. Like, I think we got what it takes. If you have enough people, you can present this to whoever and say, we have what it takes. Look at the roster. Is that a possibility?
No pitch needed, because TNT's already said, hey, we're going to do a second AEW show. It's going to happen. It's just that the pandemic kind of pinned everybody to the wall, and everyone kind of struggled for a year. Now that we're starting to get some ground back, and then everybody's starting to get in their footing again. By the way, AEW is, as far as I understand, has been given the all clear for full audiences at Daly's place.
Yeah, we heard about that on Saturday. Somebody said that in the live stream.
But the bottom line here is that TNT's already committed to it. They're already saying, hey, let's fucking do it. It's just a matter of the when, the where, the how, and all that. The when is going to be... If
that's the case, I don't have a problem with them collecting talent.
Right.
If TNT has already said, yeah, man, you guys are good to go, I don't have a problem with them collecting talent, because I know somewhere down the line we'll have a second show, and people that aren't getting utilized on a weekly basis will start to become utilized because of that second show. That makes me a lot more comfortable thinking well, what if Samoa Joe does go to AEW? What if so-and-so does go to AEW?
Yeah.
And that's
if they already have a second show in the works, let's do it.
And that was my point. Everybody's like, oh man, poor Samoa Joe, poor Billy Kay, poor Peyton Royce, poor Chelsea Green. No, man. Poor Samoa Joe was spending the last year and a half behind the commentary desk. Poor Billy Kay and Peyton Royce was breaking up the Iconics. Poor Chelsea Green was given a flaming hot start in NXT, only to be pissed on and pulled up to the main roster. That was poor all those people. This is a fucking second coming. This is like lifeblood directed into their veins. I'm excited to see the Iconics back together. I'm excited to see the hot mess Chelsea Green, and God help me, I'm excited to see Samoa Joe wrestling again.
I do have one question. When he went from Impact or wherever he last was to WWE, do you think he signed over the rights to Samoa Joe when he went there? Or do you think he said, no, if you want me to come here, I keep that?
Guess
That's my burning question.
That's one of the reasons why so many people, change their name when they come to WWE, so that if it doesn't work out or if they get released, then they can subsequently use their name from the indies. You know what I mean? Like now, and again, Joe might have been smart enough that beforehand he got the trademark to the name Samoa Joe in the context of professional wrestling. So maybe WWE would have had to, they would have been insane to try and fight Joe or rename Joe. You just don't. He's one of those guys. Can you imagine? It's not the whole what's Samoa Joey doing in the Impact Zone, but like just imagine him going by a different name. It would be weird. It just would.
Yeah.
He's Samoa Joe. It'd be like if you called Shawn Michaels something else. It's just not. If you gave him his real name, Sean Hickenbottom, you know what I mean?
Michael.
It's just
Michael
Hickenbottom. Thank you, Michael Hickenbottom. That's my point. Is that I think it'll be good. And Beef, you make an excellent salient point. The thing is, it's not so much me going pour this talent. That wasn't meant to be my point. It's more I look at WWE and I go, what are you doing? Instead of they just consistently do this no matter how much noise is directed at them otherwise. And I understand we're not in the business. We're fans. I get it. But you would think eventually they would go, you know what? We need to start relying on other talent and look at the wealth of either veteran people like Samoa Joe who have been around, and they go, man, this guy can still go. He could be really good to help out talent, and he could still go in the upper mid, or even upper card. And you have all this young talent that is so entertaining, like the Iconics. When I first saw the Iconics gimmick, I was like, nope, hate it. Hate this so much. And then very quickly, just because how endearing they are and how much they commit to those characters and make them believable, I was sold on it, and I love the Iconics. And then,
real quick, I have an answer about the names. Joe owns the trademarks for his name, so he will be able to use the name for the future.
Sweet.
Bo Dallas can register the name on his own if he wishes to continue to use it due to abandonment. Chelsea Green has yet to be registered by WWE. Attempted to file, but they have yet to be registered, so she can register. Tucker Knight is owned by WWE. It looks like he's going to go by Levi Cooper, which is a great name anyway.
Yeah.
Kalisto, Mickey James, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, all owned by WWE. Mojo Rawley got released too.
I didn't see that.
Oh, we did? Was that just updated?
He's on the list.
Well, I'm not surprised. I thought he was released a while ago, to be perfectly honest with you.
Me too.
Yeah.
And that's not being smart,
That's
No,
another waste of talent too. He wasn't the best on the microphone or anything, but honestly, I really dug the whole hype bros thing with him and Zack Ryder. I thought that was a good team. They never really got a good push, but
Mojo was just announced 2 hours ago.
But so
there we go.
My point is with this is that it's more. It's not I'm sad for the talent because they're going to be just fine. For me, it's more along the lines of WWE. You are a constant disappointment. You are a constant disappointment, and how can you not utilize? Not saying that everybody and their brother is going to be at the top of the card, but how do you not utilize talent and just pitch them away? People love the Iconics. They love, Bo Dallas.
WWE is utilizing their talent. They really are. I mean, on Monday Night Raw, Randy Orton was in a triple threat match for the #1 contendership for the WWE title. You're telling me they're not utilizing young, hot talent? Come on.
You're okay. You know what? I stand corrected. That young upstart Randy Orton, I forgot all about him because he's so new. You know.
Let me go on a limb and predict two that are forthcoming. If we don't see Keith Lee on Friday on SmackDown, I think that Keith Lee and Mia Yim are on their way. Either that or back to NXT. One of those two things is bound to happen because I can't imagine either one of those two sitting on the sidelines saying, "Yeah, I'm cool in catering."
That would be utterly, devastatingly foolish to let Keith Lee go, and Mia Yim, for God's sake.
Well, I mean,
honestly,
they haven't. Sorry, I was gonna say they haven't used Mia Yim ever since they brought her up on the main roster. Can anybody honestly sit here and tell me that they recall seeing Mia Yim wrestle a match on Monday Night Raw?
Mm-hmm. She was in a mixed tag match with Retribution.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
was she ever
like tons.
Okay. Was she ever in a singles match on her own on Monday Night Raw?
I believe she was in one singles match on Raw.
And she lost. Okay, she lost it.
Yep.
So that's two matches that we can think of off the top of our head. In how long has Retribution been on the Monday Night Raw?
Too fucking long.
At least 6 months, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that is a fucking utter disappointment right there in itself because she was great down in NXT, and they just fucking pissed all over her. Like
now, look, Keith Lee, I'm fine with if Beef's prediction comes true, I'm fine with either option for Keith Lee. If he goes to NXT, I think it'll be a rebirth for him. I think he will float very quickly back to the top of the NXT card. I'm confident of that. Or if he goes out on his own, I think he'll succeed wherever he goes, whether it's AEW, New Japan, Impact, it doesn't matter. I think either option is great for him because staying on the main roster, like I don't see great things for him, at least in the near to mid future. I don't. So if he goes either place, NXT or leaves WWE, I'm happy for that because I think he'll get the chance to shine where he wouldn't if he was on Raw or SmackDown.
You know, it's funny that you say you don't see great things for him. Like, I don't see him at all. He's fucking John Cena. I can't. Where is he? Where the fuck is Keith Lee? Where? Where is he? He's the hide and seek master of 2021 because I ain't fucking seen him on TV yet.
Dude, how much? So
make a salient point.
Jesus Christ, WWE, get your shit together.
How angry do you think Triple H is watching like the Iconics who he helped build, fucking Samoa Joe,
or like all the
Green.
Fucking, or all the NXT talent that gets fucking pulled up to Monday Night Raw or over to SmackDown gets pissed away that we're fucking superstars in NXT? I'd be pissed.
I can't imagine him seeing him watching this happen. Like see them pulled up before and I say before they're ready because I think Triple H has a pretty good eye about that. I think that the Iconics were on the precipice of getting real fucking over, and then they were snatched up. Chelsea Green had a great angle, snatched up. Samoa Joe was there for a cup of coffee, snatched up. I think that had Triple H had a timeline of, hey, we want these superstars eventually, he would have done better with them in NXT. Not that he didn't do great with them as it was, but it's got to really cheese him off whenever he sees that happen, and then they get released a couple years later, and he's like, what the fuck am I even doing here?
Well, and go ahead, Ransom.
Hold on. Sorry, I had to hydrate. Mine's real quick here, Poot. My thought is I wonder how much he has to fight to say, please don't release them. Please give them back to me. Please give them back. Give me them back. Give me back to NXT. Give me. Like I wonder because I bet he could do great things again with them, no matter how much they're ruined on the main roster. I don't want to say that. No matter how much they're ruined on Raw or SmackDown, if he gets them back in NXT, I bet he could shoot them right back to the top in popularity. I bet the people who are very loyal to NXT would get back with them in an instant. So I imagine his frustration is twofold. I'd spend this time building them up and you destroy them, And you don't even bother giving them back to me. You just kick them to the curb.
Your point, I think you have a fantastic point, because I mean, even though they're on Raw and SmackDown now, if anybody watched NXT, they had a nice little reunion there of all the new women's champs. You had Raquel Gonzalez, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley all in the ring together, and all kind of sharing a moment like, hey, we all fucking did it, hurrah, hurrah for us. Although on that note, I'll say poor Dakota Kai. She's the fucking fourth wheel on a tandem bicycle that is absolutely not needed there. Like, it's just kind of like, she just kind of, once Bianca Belair's music hit, she just kind of, like, if you watch, you saw the ropes kind of move, and she was just gone, out of camera shot, not to be seen again for the rest of the segment. It's just like, meh. Poot, what was your point?
I don't even remember anymore. The no, that was just because I was thinking about this. Like, it's just, it was sending them back to NXT. I honestly thought, I was like, man, Bo Dallas going back there would be great, and revamping him from the Bo Leave thing, I think would be cool. And I thought Joe going back would be good, because just imagine Joe and Karrion Kross. Oh, right. And but it stands true. Beef made an excellent point, and I didn't even think about the class of people that he came up with. I think going to AEW would be a phenomenal move for Joe. But I think the Iconics going there would be better, because how often have we said that AEW's women roster is like,
yep, yep.
They could pump it up for sure.
Peyton would be a great find for them. Billy, she tries. Billy has charisma. That's what I'll say about Billy Kay. She has charisma in spades. Like, Peyton is kind of a, on the book character. What you see is what you get. But Billy Kay is the real, like, firecracker of that duo. And that's why they work so well as a fucking team, because what one did well, the other needed help with, and vice versa.
Well, and Billy Kay, her original gimmick in NXT, I loved it. The like whole haunting, dark, like elegant ballerina thing.
Yeah.
Like, and
Black Swan-esque.
Yeah, Black Swan kind of thing. Loved it. And I was like, man, there's probably going to be legs to this. And Christ alive, I was wrong. But it gave us the Iconics. So can't complain.
Chelsea Green, I think, is another one, too. The only sucky thing is that Matt Cardona is in Impact and not in AEW. Although he has made, appearances for AEW. And obviously AEW and Impact have a nice little fostering a relationship. But when Chelsea Green signed with NXT, she was one of the biggest free agent signings at that time, outside of Tessa Blanchard, who is, fuck all, who knows where she is. But like, Chelsea Green was, she was on All Out, or All In rather, if you guys remember.
Yeah,
she was a part of that a Fatal 4-Way match with all the women championship contenders, with all the women like having the belts. So yeah, I mean, like, she I think would really give the AEW women's division a shot in the arm. Plus, and this is what I love about AEW. I'm gonna grandstand for a minute. AEW is not necessarily like visiting the sins of Impact past, where they bring in a guy and he's immediately their world champion. Christian's in a nice little. I think he's kind of working with Team Taz, which I'm fine with. So like somebody who's new and fresh, Sting, another guy. He's not an immediate world champion. So, like, I don't think that they're going to bring these people in and immediately put a rocket on their back.
Right.
Unless they absolutely deserve it, in Samoa Joe's case. Chelsea Green, for example, I think would have to work her way through, like, the blossoming Jade Cargill, who's doing fucking wonders. The Britt Baker, who hasn't got her comeuppance yet, etc. But, yes, that would certainly be a shot in the arm.
It's funny that you mentioned Christian, because that's actually I have Dynamite on right now. I'm watching it without the volume on, just to see the matches and stuff that I didn't get a chance to catch yet. And to your point, yeah, just because they bring in somebody like, look at Lance Archer, I think anybody would have thought like, oh man, they're gonna, strap a rocket to him, and like, no, he's not, he's faffed around in some main event scenes, but he's not immediately thrusted into that. And it's just, it's we have to remember, like, the one thing with AEW is how young the company still is. Like with Kenny Omega, Kenny is only, the third AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and what now, almost coming up on 2 years? Is that where we're at?
2 years in October. Although, I mean, yeah, in theory.
Well, I'm going since like the actual like All Out or Double or Nothing.
Then it would actually be. Well, if we're going from All Out, I think it would actually be 3 years in October.
No, wouldn't it be 2?
No, man.
Because because last year was the pandemic, and the summer before that was first.
We've had 2 All Outs so far. So the first All In would have been 3 years ago.
Wow. Well, there you go. Okay, so even still, a young company, regardless. So there is that. And these guys, like Lance Archer and some others, that they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I think I feel from everything that I've heard from all the podcasts that I've listened to, of different people like on AEW Unrestricted, there's a very good locker room mentality and stuff like that. There's a very good familial type of setting and stuff like that. Everybody says how well Tony Khan treats them and stuff like that. So I don't see, these people going anywhere anytime soon. So like Britt Baker, as you mentioned, like she hasn't gotten the world title, the women's title yet. I honestly, like, I can't wait for that to happen, because I think she absolutely deserves it.
Well,
but all in due time. The point being is that it wouldn't be a bad thing to see Chelsea Green come in and have to work her way up. It wouldn't be a bad thing to see Billie Kay and Peyton Royce come in, and have to work their way up and stuff like that. I'm here for it, because they could definitely, I think they could definitely help out the women's division a lot.
Well, and let's not beleaguer the fact that there isn't issues, because like Ivelisse left AEW, or was released or left over backstage issues, and she's claiming that she was mistreated, and that Ivelisse. She's claiming
I must have missed her.
She was in a program with Thunder Rosa, and she claimed that Thunder Rosa. Don't you remember that match, Beef or Ransom, that Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa had that match, and it was like awkward, and it looked like they weren't cooperating with each other?
Yep, I think Thunder Rosa like stiffed her a couple times.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa stiffed her, and she said that Thunder Rosa was not cooperating with her because they had heat with each other from Lucha Underground. Yeah, and it's a whole thing that's like, this just kind of haunting her. Apparently, she had a disagreement with creative backstage or bookers backstage, and well,
that's fucking stupid. I mean, you got to see the writing on the wall. If you're an A character, a B character, a C character, a D character, if you're a D character that barely makes the show, and you're going to try and go up against an A character, no way you're going to fucking win. You eat that shit. I don't care who you have heat with. You eat that shit, because you know that your time will come if you're a good enough athlete. So, you know what?
Jesus.
Like, and that's everybody who leaves their job, either on their own terms or not, well, especially whenever it's not their own terms, never has fond things to say about their employer. So, you know what, like, I take all that with a grain of salt, and I'm sure that it's not all roses and gumdrops over in AEW, and yes, they have their faults, but, bottom line is, I think that's this particular crop of talents that's been released from WWE, I would certainly not shed a tear for seeing any of them show up in AEW. Although, like I said, I think that Tucker Knight is best served, overseas in Japan. Wouldn't mind seeing Mickey sign on as like a consultant to the women's division. I think that she could do a lot of great work because she gets
for
it.
AEW?
For AEW, because she gets it, man.
Oh, yeah.
She understands a great match when she sees one. So
True. Well, we could not trying to push forward. We could go on and on and on about this, but we got to talk about. Pardon?
I said push it. Do it.
Push it.
Yeah. Do it.
We got to go on. We got to talk about WrestleMania, boys. Oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah. All right. So I think that overall general consensus night one was good. Would we all agree?
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
I remember on the way home from your house, Tom, I said it was a strong B+.
Yep.
And I remember thinking to myself, if we get and I really expected night 2 to deliver, and I said if we get this kind of a great wrestling, it's going to be one of the most memorable and exciting WrestleManias in history.
Oh, poor delusional beef.
Was I
Turns out.
Poor
wrong?
delusional beef.
turns out.
Yeah. So night 2,
Oh.
man, what a fucking just
And that's
shit
when I
show.
learned never
And
trust a McMahon.
I will say this.
That's when.
That's I was gonna say you.
That's
Wow.
the point.
I will say, working from the end backwards, probably one of the only bright spots about WrestleMania Night 2, depending on your perspective and depending on your opinion, was the main event, because we were all fucking wrong. And
So here's my issue with the main event, and I've come to really dig Roman Reigns, and I thought that he looked great, and I loved him like beating a motherfucker with another motherfucker and pinning them both at the same time.
Mario
Like,
2 style.
Yeah.
That was a great WrestleMania moment for a man who already has several.
Yeah.
That's going to be one that a lot of people look at and go, man, look at this dominant guy. The problem is that he's a heel champion that I think probably shouldn't have won. But it would have been easier for me to digest had we not had Sheamus, a heel challenger, win a title. Apollo Crews, a heel challenger, win a title.
Yep.
And The Fiend, a fucking supernova, white hot fucking baby meat. Like,
Wow. Overcooked baby meat.
Somebody talk.
All right, I got
so-
it.
all right.
I got it.
Okay.
If I may. So I'm going to touch on The Fiend. I'm going to do this because I was so excited, and I'm sure we all were. But The Fiend, this was something. And I did an FCN. See, I'm doing content. I'm doing the content. The Fiend. God, The Fiend, like, it was the 11th hour that was changed. It was the day of the event. It was the day of the event that this apparently was changed. And
Now, is this allegedly or confirmed?
No, it's confirmed that this was like a Sunday change, like that to the whole thing. And it just befuddles me because The Fiend was supposed to go over and they were supposed to march merrily on, him and Alexa Bliss. And then this was changed. And then they just went rogue with it and split them up. And Bray Wyatt's talking about having a rebirth. And Alexa Bliss is doing this. And she has that weird little doll with her. And listen, I'm willing to give it like a half a chance. But this is it. Like, I'm willing to watch where it goes because I have no choice in the matter. Like, I have to watch where it goes because we can't undo it. You know what I mean? We absolutely
Did you watch
can't.
Raw on Monday, Poot?
I read reviews and I read reports and stuff like that. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm not, like, they should have just. It was almost like they went, hey, we're standing 3 feet away from the broadside of a barn. Let's go ahead and fire at it. Let's pull the trigger at it. You know what? I've got a 22, and I want to try and shoot for that target that's 500,000 yards away. Let's do that instead. 45-degree angle.
Here's 100% my problem, and then I'll shut up and let you guys talk some more. But, like, that completely soured me on WrestleMania Night 2. And Poot was sitting right beside me on my couch, and he was like, dude, you got to give the rest of the card a chance. I couldn't. It broke my heart because I had all these lofty expectations, thinking, hey, this has a shot at being a great WrestleMania. And the minute, because I said to him fucking 24 hours earlier, man, there's not one match in this card that if somebody wins is going to ruin the whole card for me. Oh, I lied. There's one. Randy Orton. But they'll never do that. And it fucking hit, and it soured me, and I didn't give two fucks about the rest of the card. Them following up with the fucking trash fire match of the women's title match right after it was not a fucking good idea either.
Yeah, I here's my thing, and I'm, I mentioned it on my Raw review on Tuesday morning. Is like the only potential bright spot is if they can make some sort of long-term booking out of this Fiend thing. But the thing is they could have still gone this direction with Alexa Bliss, kind of like the student becomes the master sort of thing. They could have done it and still had Bray go over at Mania. This could have been something. This could have been a new story, a new chapter that they started after WrestleMania. This could have you could have started planting the seeds of dissent. There's so many different ways. There's so many ways it could have gone, but they chose the shittiest way to do it, and that's the biggest problem. Now, and I by that definitely I was with Beef on that. Like by that first match, it really did sour the whole tone for me. I started to doze off at different points throughout night 2, and I was back in it. I had my second wind by the triple threat match, and I'm sitting there watching it. And God bless my girlfriend, she still stayed up with me. We both had Monday off, anyways. It didn't matter. But I'm sitting there towards the end of the match, and I told her, I was like, "All right, as long as Edge doesn't win, I'm golden." And then I said to her, I was like, the way this night's going, watch fucking Roman Reigns win this. Watch this Cruiserweight title thing be a tie. Watch me never hear the end of it from Beef. And then fucking what happens? Yeah, there you go. Like, it's just, it's like, I should have fucking figured that's how this night was going to end. It just fucking meh. Like, just meh. That's WrestleMania night 2. Meh. That could have been the tagline for it. I don't understand a lot of the booking from that. Like the Sheamus and Riddle match, if they're trying to punish Riddle, I get it. I get Sheamus going over. The Apollo Crews thing, I guess maybe I can kind of get it. But I can't wait till 6 months from now when his fucking fake ass Nigerian accent goes away. And we're all just going, hey, wait a minute, weren't you?
No.
Oh, okay. Of course, we got Big Bad Bacchus. If anybody remembers him from Raw Underground, does anybody remember him? No? Good. Let's move on from that. Bacchus is with fucking Apollo Crews now. He's going to be his muscle, so there's that. It's just a whole lot of meh. That was night 2. I don't know.
I don't have an issue with Roman Reigns winning. I don't have an issue with Riddle losing. I don't have an issue with Apollo winning. Those are all things, the Sheamus thing not so much. But the other two are things that make sense. But here's the thing. Like, you start your sandwich by burning the bottom piece of bread. You then put on a questionable piece of meatloaf. Like, been sitting in your fridge for a couple of weeks. You then add some pickles.
Is this coming from personal experience, Beef?
Maybe. You then add some pickles that have been, resident in your fridge longer than most people live in apartments.
Oh,
you then add some olives that are probably not the right shade of green anymore. You get what I'm saying. You, piece of shit after piece of shit after piece of shit. If you know that you, and clearly they didn't, to Poot's point. Obviously, they didn't have a fucking clue what they were doing. But if you knew for a second that you were going to have all this, crap, heels winning on night 2, Why not better disperse that out? Why not put Apollo Crews versus Big E on night 1 of the card and swap that out for, I don't know. Who fucking knows? My point is this, is that, like, the heels retaining on night 2 of WrestleMania, the big show. Like, let's not muddle words. Night 2 felt like the bigger night of WrestleMania because that's what we're all accustomed to doing, is watching WrestleMania on Sundays. Damn near every heel won except for Rhea Ripley, and the week before the match, she was booked as the heel on Raw. So, like, you got to come a long way to convince me why you're having every single fucking heel win on the biggest show of the year.
Yeah, and you kind of go against the whole thing of send the fans home happy. Like, isn't that like the unspoken WrestleMania rule?
But that's
I
the
was
trope.
wrong. Kevin Owens won.
That's
so, Kevin Owens won.
So did Bianca Belair. Ransom, what's your take on this?
I feel like I'm, as has been trending, should be no surprise. I'm in agreement with Beef. The first match with Orton going over on the Fiend, and I won't even call it a fucky ending. Like, it was, I feel like that was a clean win for Orton. Like, sure, there was goo coming down of what's her face's face. It distracted the Fiend.
If only.
Yeah, but at the same time, like,
Bagoo.
No, I feel like that was a clean win for Orton. At the end of that match, when the live crowd was booing the Fiend match, when you have, and let's face it, I consider night 1 and night 2 to be the first time that a crowd was in attendance. I don't consider night 1 to be the first time and night 2 to be something else. Like, this is one show over 2 nights, same crowd. You have them booing the Fiend. That took all of the wind out of the sails of night 2 for me. Just completely deflated it. I'm going to tell you this. Night 2 was so unmemorable for me. I didn't stay up to watch the main event, and I can't tell you what the last match was that I watched. I'm sure if you run them down, like this match happened, this match happened, this match happened, I could probably tell you when I fell asleep. But if I had to go back on my own fruition and go, like, when did I check out and just give in to sleep? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. That's how unmemorable night 2 was. Night 1 was very memorable. Now, I chalked that up a little bit to all of us being able to watch it together. I listened to the main event on my way home. So I listened to the whole thing. I heard the hair whip of doom.
Oh, man.
Night 1 was great. I'll remember what happened on night 1. I'll remember night 1 of WrestleMania for a multitude of reasons. One of those reasons being it was a great show. But night 2, like, that first match with the Fiend, and I get it. Everybody loves the Fiend. The Fiend is great. What a great thing. Oh, what a great thing for the Fiend. Ransom, you want West steak dinner. Oh, at the end of the day, I look at the Fiend and go, really? Really? Like, do I though? Like, well, the stipulation was by this time this year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I know. But, like, it's a constant disappointment with the Fiend. Not of any fault of Bray Wyatt's. It's all a fault of the booking.
Let me pose something to you real quick. So yeah. I'm gonna throw 2 names out here. You tell me who you think is more successful at WrestleMania. Sasha Banks or Bray Wyatt?
Oh, like more successful as in how many wins?
More wins, like how they came across, etc. How they looked in their matches.
Sasha.
Yeah, I don't know about wins and losses, and I'm no fan of Sasha Banks. But as far as like shows that they've put on, performances that they've done, matches that I've gone away from going like, oh, that was a good match. It's Sasha.
It depends on your definition, because I feel a swerve coming here.
You are right, Poot. Sasha Banks is 0-6, but yet in losing, much akin to Shawn Michaels, whose WrestleMania record is not that great, yet is known as WrestleMania.
Mr. WrestleMania.
Sasha Banks has put on some barn burners, and even though she's not been successful at WrestleMania, has looked pretty damn good. Bray Wyatt, and yes, I am figuring in last year's WrestleMania as a victory, as he made John Cena disappear. But he has not been all that successful either. Yes, his first match with Cena at WrestleMania 30 was good, but then Cena buried him for 2 months afterward. And then, yes, his match with Taker was great at WrestleMania 31, and then it was over. So, and then WrestleMania 32 happened, and The Rock came out and buried Eric Rowan in like 2 seconds, and I'm like, well, that's the end of Bray Wyatt. And, yeah, so WrestleMania 33 when he lost to Orton, WrestleMania 37 when he lost to Orton, etc. So my point is this, is that you can make somebody strong look great in a losing effort without absolutely beating someone over the head with it, like they do with Sasha Banks or HBK back in the day, but they're not with Bray Wyatt. I don't feel like he's ever had a good showing, even though I just said that he had 2 really good WrestleMania matches back-to-back 7 and 6 years ago, respectively. I don't feel like The Fiend or Bray Wyatt, whomever, has ever had a good showing at the show of shows.
I feel like it's because, this is quick, Tom, this is really quick. I feel like it's because they looked at The Fiend and went, look at all the money we made. Okay, we bled him dry, now throw him away.
Well, here's 2 things, and you're probably not wrong on that. Let's not remember the one golden rule. Going over does not mean you have to get over in the match, or you don't have to go over in the match to get over. You can get over and still lose. So to Beef's point, yes, that's how Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, because he's just one of the best ever in and out of WrestleMania, all time. And number 2, I had a number 2. Damn it. I think with what the problem is with Bray is, yeah, he may have had 1 or 2 good matches, but it's just again, it boils down to a problem that WWE has had, and we've mentioned it especially on Monday Night Raw with creative and whatever ad nauseum, is inconsistent booking. They don't connect the dots. You can have a great match here and a great match there, but if you can't string the shit together, what fucking good is it? That's the thing. Like Sasha, her record may be shit at Mania, but she's had consistently, for the most part, over the course of her career, she's been consistently well booked. I don't understand what the problem is. I know what part of the problem is. It's fucking Vince McMahon, his goddamn ego power trip, and not wanting to let wrestlers fucking be wrestlers and have a handle in the goddamn creative, making everything so over scripted and so fucking over diluted that at the end of it, you're left there scratching your head going, what the fuck are we watching? Why should we care? And then
let me say, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, go on.
Let me say this. I think my biggest takeaway from this year's WrestleMania will be this. NXT TakeOver, Ride or Die. What was it?
Stand and Deliver.
Dead Man's Chest. Yeah, that was Stand and Deliver. NXT Stand and Deliver had 2 great nights. I will remember this NXT by far. Then we go on to WrestleMania. This event was, since the start of the stupid COVID, was the first wrestling event to have a big live crowd in a stadium. First time. This is the one, this is the restart. In the wrestling industry, they push the reset button right here. Hey guys, guess what? We're going to have a big live crowd in this arena. And we're going to do this event live in front of for what COVID is, a shit ton of people. And it was such an utter disappointment. I feel like WWE, as they are wont to do, took what could have been the great reset, the great restart, the great rebirth of wrestling post-COVID, or on the way to post-COVID, however you want to classify it, and they just underwhelmed. They just underwhelmed it. And I understand night one was good. It was a good night showing for night one. But from this fan's perspective, at the end of the day, night one and night two is one event. Yes, it transpired over 2 different nights, but it's WrestleMania. It's one event. And at the end of the day, WrestleMania as a whole left me disappointed because they had the golden opportunity to put on the best wrestling show in front of a packed arena. And I say packed for, COVID times. And they didn't. They just botched it. I don't know where the disconnect is between the product that they put on and the fans that want to cheer for the product. We shit a lot on WWE on this show. That's tried and true. Stand and deliver. That's what we do. And I don't show up on this show giddy and excited and wanting to shit on WWE because I'm a fan of wrestling. I'm not a fan of one company over another. This isn't a Monday Night War like back then you rooted for WCW or you rooted for WWE. There were people in distinct corners who wanted one to succeed and one to fail. There were people intermixed that enjoyed both products, like myself. But there were definite people going, oh, it's WCW or ooh, WWE. Nowadays, I want all wrestling companies to succeed because as they do better, my enjoyment of the product goes higher. I get more of an enjoyment out of a product when every wrestling company is succeeding and doing well and putting on great shows and doing great things. I don't want to shit on WWE, but they don't make it easy for me to not shit on them, especially when they do stuff like this year's WrestleMania. They don't make it easy for me to not shit on them. What are you doing with The Fiend? What are you doing in a match of Sheamus and Riddle? Like, I get it. Riddle blundered the thing. Is that worthy of him losing a title? Does Sheamus need the United States Championship? This dude has held multiple world titles. Does this guy need the United States Championship? No.
I think it was a punishment.
Do we need to do things like break up the Hurt Business? There are so many things that WWE does well, but they seem, at least for me, to be overshadowed by the things that they do so piss poorly.
Yep.
I feel like the Sheamus win was a punishment to Riddle. I do. I truly believe that. I truly believe it's a punishment to Matt Riddle for his very, very glaring botchery of his lines instead of, Matt Riddle's someone that you need to just let say what he wants to say. Just say, hey, don't swear or say any things. Just be you. And if they would have done that, I don't think they would have run into that issue. Also, they paired him with Asuka. No offense to Asuka, but man, she can't feed back at him. You know what I mean?
No. Nope.
No.
And I think honestly it was that. And the other thing is, as far as what was it? The Big E Apollo Crews match.
Crews.
Listen, having another heel win and having another heel do that, and we might lose the accent and everything, but honestly, Apollo Crews is talented enough, and this gimmick, in my opinion, has enough legs to it if booked correct. There's that phrase that they're not going to do right, but if they book it correctly, if they do it, then it will work. It will work. It'll be good and it'll be entertaining because Apollo Crews really seems to be invested in what he's doing right now. So, I
retort one thing that you just said.
Sure.
So, and I don't disagree with you. It's not a retort because I disagree with you. I
Right.
agree. I think Matt Riddle losing the title was a punishment. But I feel like where WWE failed is that if you need to punish this guy for botching that line, like if that's the hill you're going to die on, do you need to punish him at WrestleMania? Do you need to punish him at the WrestleMania, the first wrestling event with a big live crowd? Could this not have waited for Backlash?
No.
Could it not have waited for the Monday night after WrestleMania? Like, punish the guy, fine. I don't have a problem with that, per se. I mean, like, yeah, okay. Like, do you really got to take the title off him because he flubbed one line? Really?
Yeah.
But hey, you do you. But, like, you not only punished him, but I feel like you punished the fans on his behalf by doing it at WrestleMania. You couldn't have done it some other time? That stands out to me like, what a poor business decision to issue that punishment at that particular event.
I agree, but I think that's the thing is that you're missing exactly what it was. It's a power play. It's an absolute power play. Like that's really all it is. I hate to say it, I do, but like that's why they did it. It's like, hey, this is what happens whenever you be the whole thing. Like and that's what it is, and that's the problem is that I think we saw a true punishment on the grandest stage of them all for someone that they already have been fumble fucking with. Like Matt Riddle, when he came in, it was this huge get, and it was a big deal because Matt Riddle is legit. I mean, he's legit. Like, I mean, he's nothing to it's nothing to sneeze at. Like, and that's kind of the problem is that they do these kind of things and they think that people won't pick up on it. And like, maybe I'm tinfoil hatting a little bit, but it's true.
I think Ransom hit the nail on the head earlier on when he said, and I feel the same way. I'm a fan of all wrestling. I'm not an AEW mark. I'm not a WWE mark. Like I mark out for what I want to mark out for. I celebrate the good. I'm critical, and I'm critical of the bad. Like we've said, no company is perfect. AEW has its flaws, i.e., its women's division and wrestlers not utilizing good wrestling psychology all the time and just like not selling shit. As you guys were sitting here talking, I was watching the background match. I was watching the main event match with Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy in a basically like a Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualification match. There was a whole fucking circus parade of people coming down around and everybody faffing about. And at one point, I watched Matt Hardy give Darby Allin a twist of fate with a steel chair around fucking Darby Allin's neck. Guess what happened after that? Kick out at 2. I'm like shit like that irks me a little bit. So they have their flaws. WWE, you're obviously what we think their flaws are because we're mentioning them now. But again, I don't gear up every time we do this podcast and be like, haha, time to shit on WWE. Fuck yeah, buddy, let's do this. No. Gets my fucking blood pressure up, makes me disappointed in the product.
Yep.
Makes me go like, why the fuck? Last year, and I stuck to this. What did I say whenever fucking Goldberg won the title off the Fiend at fucking Saudi Blood Money? What did I say I would do? I stopped watching. I didn't even watch WrestleMania last year. I said maybe I would pick up and start watching again at Mania just because it's WrestleMania. And then COVID happened. And I was kind of like, well, maybe I won't watch. And I didn't watch for a while. And I slowly started to get back into it over the summer and everything. But I mean, if you go back and even listen to the podcast episodes from then, I mean, I was fucking disconnected from wrestling. I just didn't give a shit because I didn't feel like WWE gave a shit either. I feel like they were just like, we're going to do what the fuck we want to do. And screw you. You're either going to watch it or you won't, because we're WWE and we've been here forever. Then, now, forever. We're never going anywhere, and you will have our product because we're the only thing that matters. No,
So
that's not the case. That's not, no, that's not the case, WWE. Pull your heads out of your asses. There are other wrestling companies out there that you could fucking learn a thing or two from at certain times.
Here's the thing that I'll say about WrestleMania, kind of tying it all in a bow. Ransom said earlier that WrestleMania is supposed to be the end of, stories. Beginning of new ones, yes, sure. But for the most part, it's your blow-off. And as such, like, most of the time, the good guy's supposed to win. The most memorable and best WrestleManias have a better face to heel win ratio than the ones that are lackluster. The ones that go about 50% or worse, heel to face win ratio, are the ones that we typically go, oh, that wasn't a very good one. Like WrestleMania 32. Let me read all the heels that won this year's WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley, AJ and Omos. I don't know if Natty and Tamina were technically heels. I think that they were.
There, who fucking cares?
I think Rhea was booked as a heel, but there was no way she was going to pull that off. Apollo Crews, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Shania, and Roman Reigns. That's, I didn't count, but that's almost 50%, if not more than 50% of the fucking matches won by the heel character. That is not how a good story is written. At the end of Endgame, the Avengers weren't beaten by Thanos. At the end of all those medieval fucking stories we tell, the dragon doesn't beat the knight, even though we fucking know that a dragon would. The knight always wins. For fuck's sake, tell a good story. And to Tom's point, tell it the whole way through.
Consistently. And I will say this, Ransom, you may not have to worry about whether or not you consider night 1 and night 2 to all be one event, because who knows how much longer, if we'll even have a 2-night WrestleMania event for. They did it. This is only the second year they've done it.
Reportedly, they want to go back to one night, and I think that would be a terrible decision.
Especially if they keep fucking inconsistent booking like this too, because people will tune out halfway through and say, fuck this, I'm done. What else is on?
I've said it myself. I don't mind, and me being a wrestling historian, if you will, I don't mind going on a wrestling bender and watching 8 hours of good wrestling. Even if there's some bad in there.
That's the key word.
That's the key.
Good.
WrestleMania 35 was a endurance test. At the end of the night, I felt good. Rollins won. Becky won. Kofi won. Like, it was a feel-good night, and I was like, okay. That was an endurance trial. We got to see the demon come back. Samoa Joe crushed Rey Mysterio in like 30 seconds.
Oh, thank God.
At the end of the day, it was an endurance trial, but it fucking was worth it. I was in the minority. I remember everybody bitching about WrestleMania 38 or 35 being like 8 hours long with the 2-hour pre-show included. And understandably, this was much more bite-sized. And here's the thing.
Yep.
You got 2 fucking shows, 2 world titles, 2 women's world titles, 2 sets of tag team titles, 2 mid-card titles. That is setting itself up for you to have 2 nights. Who's the loser? They're going to pack Dallas Stadium next year. Whether it's 1 night or 2, they're going to sell out both fucking nights if they want to run it.
Yep.
They'll sell out in LA both nights if they want to run them. I don't understand, like, it's not like you have to come up with a new set for the next night. No, it was the same shit. I don't understand why you would want to go back to 1 night.
Now, and from my perspective, I can't do that. I can't do 8 hours of wrestling. one, I like wrestling. We do a weekly podcast about it. So I obviously had to give a shit about it. That's a long ass show for me to sit through. And if you couple the fact that I'm a husband and a father, I can't take what is, for all intents and purposes, an entire work day's worth of time and say to my wife and my children, hey, sorry, I'm watching WrestleMania. You know, like I'd love to play with you, but I'm watching WrestleMania. I'd love to talk with you about your day, but I'm watching WrestleMania. I'd love to, you know, take time to give you a bath, tuck you in at night, read you a story, but I'm watching WrestleMania. I feel like as a responsible spouse and father, I can't do that. Now, I get it. Not everybody's in my shoes. So I could be in the vast minority of this. But when you have two nights, like, yeah, if we're going to gather at somebody else's house, I could take one night and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Tom's, or I'm going to go to Beef's, and I'm going to spend 4 hours and I'm going to watch WrestleMania. The next night, I can tune in my full attention to WrestleMania after my children go to bed. But I can't say like, oh, it's 6 o'clock or, oh, it's 5:30. Sorry, family, I've got to push you aside because I've got to watch wrestling. Not I've got to, but like, sorry guys, I'm watching wrestling. I can't do that. So having 2 nights of that works so much better for me as somebody with a family that I have to devote my time to. I have to put their time above other things. And 2 nights of wrestling allows me to do that. And as we've seen, it's possible, like Beef said, they don't have to tear down a set. They don't have to tear down a ring. They go home at the end of that night. They come back the next night. The set's already up. The ring is already up. You just have to push go. Why would you not do that?
I mean, just the attendance alone. Like, take the gate that you get at WrestleMania and multiply that by 2. The biggest selling wrestling spectacle in the world. Where you're packing, Dallas is going to have 100 grand in there next year. Maybe more. LA is going to have probably 60, 70, maybe 80 grand the next year. Take that times 2. And yes, I understand that some of those tickets are sold as a package. I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, it's more money. You're getting more money from sponsors for a separate event. You're getting more advertising revenue. You're getting more money from Peacock, I'm sure, for shilling a separate event. Like, more. There is literally no downside to it.
Yeah.
Even night 1. So I have my reservations about NXT being 2 nights. I watched night 1 on Peacock. There wasn't any stupid commercials. There wasn't any like picture-in-picture. The only way that I knew that there was a commercial break is because of the audio cutting in and out. That's it. Like I was pleased as fucking punch with night 1 on Peacock above Stand and Deliver. So they can do it.
Yeah, dude.
I don't understand why they don't.
Well, and that's the thing is that like and I mean I feel like it needs said multiple times that I'll tell you what, as for the fan, it's so much easier to digest, even if it's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this year, like night 1 was good, night 2 was the drizzlingest of shits. But it's still like, you know, it's still better and easier to digest than going, okay, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's get ready for the WrestleMania pre-show. Like, you know what I mean? That is exhausting.
That's tough for people to watch.
Exhausting.
It is. It's tough and we've even seen it. I can't remember how many times Poot and Beef, you guys have commented on how, like, by the end of WrestleMania, when it's an 8-hour thing, how you can tell verbally and visibly that the crowd is getting tired.
Yep.
You don't want that. You don't want your main event of WrestleMania to have an exhausted, tired out crowd. You want them to have enough energy to be pumped for the main event that you're putting on at your show of shows, your spectacle.
Absolutely. Yep. And honestly, if you're looking at it from a business standpoint too, as a business, you always want to grow. Well, that means attracting new fans. What's an easier way to attract new fans? Hey, there's this 4-hour show on tonight, and there's going to be another 4-hour show tonight. If you like tonight, you'll love tomorrow night. Ha 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 ha. We didn't this year, though. But my point being, that's a lot more appealing as a quote unquote casual fan, I would think, than here's a fucking 8-hour long show. You better strap in at fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon and be available until fucking 11 o'clock at night or later because you don't want to miss a single second of Wrestlemania.
Even a lapsed fan, like all these people who grew up buying these fucking DX shirts and the Austin shirts and the NWO shirts, these millions of people are out there. They don't want to watch the product anymore. What's easier to appeal than, hey, it's WrestleMania. Come over. Bring some suds, we'll have a good time. I'll tell you why. And I'm going to speculate. This is 100% just beef speculation here. Don't sue me, Vince McMahon. But I think it's Vince McMahon. I 100% think he's just the old man going, well, we've always done it this way. This is how we're going to keep doing it every single year. No, man. Like, this shit works.
Beef's Vince McMahon might be my favorite Vince McMahon. Because it sounds extra incredulous, and it's just my favorite thing in the world. And that's the problem, is that like we're hitting a threshold with them where they're not evolving. And I'd like to just really quick, because we have been literally, in the words of the angry video game nerd, diarrhea dumping all over WrestleMania. Let's talk about one of the biggest, most positive highlights here: Bianca Belair. First of all, the match. The match was fantastic. That hair whip was the grossest noise I've heard in a long time. That was the definition, because I just imagine whenever that happened, Beef and I both cringed and went, whoa! And Tom as well. Because we were talking about, we said, oh yeah, when she was in NXT, she used to put beads in her hair, and that's what busted people open. I was like, well, she doesn't have beads in her hair this time, but I'll bet you, it would do. That noise happened, and I just imagine Ransom, do me a favor, do the gasp for me. I just imagine him doing that.
Yeah,
well, I was on the drive home. And I was listening to that match. Of course, I wasn't watching because I had to watch the freaking road. I was exhausted. It was raining. It was dark. Yep. But I heard that point in the match, and I think I even said it out loud. I was like, what the hell was that? And then I heard the announcer say, the hair whip. I'm like, holy shit, that noise that I just heard come out of my car speakers was her hair whip? Good Lord. And then I went back and rewatched it, and it's like, oh.
And that's where wrestling purists have a point. Why put somebody through a barbed wire flaming table that's been done to death whenever you could just simply whip somebody with your hair? Like, yeah, it probably sucked real bad. Probably not as bad as going through a barbed wire flaming table. It sounded great. It looked amazing. The aftermath was awesome. And Sasha Banks, again, proved why she is the best women wrestler in the world, because as soon as she got on camera, she was leaning, like flexing to her side so that it was opening the wound, and she was basically like, oh my god, can you believe this? Like, it was a great spot. And that's the one thing that I will say that wrestling purists Kato will say, and are probably right on, that it, why work harder when you can work smarter? But yes,
and that's the thing that I don't understand about WrestleMania this year. How do you end night one on that high? I mean, not the hair whip aside, the 1, 2, 3. I could hear so clearly the audible explosion of the fans in that arena.
Road Warrior
at the end of that show.
Road Warrior pop.
Yes, that's how you send fans home happy. That's how you end a wrestling show. You have that end of night one, and then immediately go in to the diarrhea-ridden, drizzling shits that is night two. I don't understand how you do that. I don't understand how you put on such a successful night one. You end on such a high, And then you start out night 2 with the Fiend losing clean to Randy Orton. What's happening?
Yeah, it doesn't, again, inconsistency doesn't make sense, not connecting the dots. It's just bad.
It's
just
out of
bad.
touch.
How much?
Out of touch.
Let me ask this question: how much do you think this was Vince McMahon and his tried and true tradition of saying, well, we're going to just pull a fast one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that it feels like a lot of that booking, it felt like a fast one.
You guys remember the Steelers playoff game from this year? How
Were they in the playoffs?
Yeah, right. How there was like they got the ball, it was snapped over Ben's head, nobody dove for it, and it was a touchdown for the Browns, and it just never looked back. That's called momentum. Momentum is a real fucking thing in sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. I have watched so many combat sports, so many sports, period, that I know it's a real damn thing. And even whenever it is fucking scripted, you can have momentum. And you can ride that momentum, or you can absolutely trash that momentum. And when you go from the highest high of Bianca Belair winning that SmackDown title to having the big pop of the night, the Fiend's comeback, the entrance, the hoopla surrounding it, beaten by Randy Orton. And here's the thing. I just read an article that Orton was always supposed to win. The Fiend was never supposed to win. The way that the match was changed is the ending of it, in that Randy Orton was supposed to win but be held off the cards for the next, foreseeable future. But obviously we didn't get that. So it was always in the fucking cards for the Apex Predator to win. And that is absolutely pissing in the wind.
Now, what report is that?
Not some fucking website called Web is Jericho, I'll tell you that.
Well, it wasn't from Web is Jericho. It was I got that from Wrestling Observer. I got my information from Wrestling Observer on that one.
Sorry, I didn't know I'd have to cite my sources.
That's what you do when you're a journalist, Captain Wow.
Well, guess what? We're not fucking journalists. We are fucking podcasters. That's what we speculate. We talk speculation.
That's what. Never mind.
But
go
on.
You know what? Yeah, I hear you, but yeah. Okay, here we are.
You don't though.
Via Cultaholic. Aiden Gibbons on Cultaholic.
All right, Cultaholic.
Hold on. Let me pull my poot here and read the entire article for you. One of those matches, talking about multiple matches to the finish exchange, one of the matches was The Fiend versus Randy Orton, which opened night 2. The plan was always for the Apex Predator to walk away with the victory, but he would have been written off TV for a good period of time. Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard switched the plans to a surprise finish only hours before the bell rang, though, and Orton was ultimately in action on Monday Night Raw against Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman.
Okay, number 1, don't get salty with me. Number 2, I was going to say Cultaholic is a reliable website. They're really good. It was the former guys from What Culture Wrestling who moved on and made Cultaholic. I was going to actually back you up on that. So don't get shitty with me. I'll come over there.
Get shitty. Get them.
So let's. I just saw this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Actually, I was going to say, the more we're talking about it and thinking about the spectacle that is WrestleMania, there had to be, I don't know necessarily, regardless if the plan was always for Orton to win or the finish was changed or whatever, I have to think that for all the quote unquote special effects and shout out to Tom Savini, Pittsburgh area's own Tom Savini, with the work that he's been doing with the Fiend.
Get well, Tom.
Work on
Get well.
Alexa Bliss. But what's that? Oh, he's good now.
Oh, is he good now?
He's recovered.
Okay.
Yeah, he's recovered. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Tom Savini was hit by somebody while he was riding his bicycle here in Pittsburgh. But hey, watch it. I'm one of them.
I know.
But
you watch it,
I'm a
apparently.
responsible one. I watch well enough. I'll tell you this much: if somebody's walking their dog on a trail and they don't have them on a leash, Fido's going to come a speed bump if you come out in front of my bike. Anyways, that aside, it's almost happened. Trust me, people are idiots.
Be sure to take your hate to casual gaming dad over on Facebook for that one, guys.
Yeah, do it. I don't give a fuck. If you're an irresponsible fucking pet owner on the trail and you don't know trail etiquette, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, he ain't scared.
I ain't scared. Fuck you. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh.
So anyway, no. But anyways, I have to imagine that there still had to be the fucking Alexa Bliss bleeding the black goo. I still have to imagine that had to still have been involved somehow, because that seems like something that would be too last minute to change. Like, I don't know. Maybe like the more we're sitting here talking about it, I will say, like we mentioned earlier, and I'm with Poot on this, that I'm willing to give it half a chance because I'm interested to see where it could possibly go. And here's the key phrasing: if done correctly. I'm still not happy with the fact. I'm still not happy with the fact that Orton went over, because by all intents and purposes, when the Fiend came out, it was like a fast track, like from the entrance to him getting in the ring and to when they first even made contact, it had fucking Fiend winning all over it. And if they changed that just for Vince to go, we swerved them. Man, get the fuck out of here. You are really more out of touch than what we've already speculated you to be, you crazy old decrepit fuck.
That wouldn't surprise me. And I think that harkens back to the whole fact that allegedly they want to go back to one night of WrestleMania. And I think it's part that's the way we've always done it. But I also think it's part arrogance, to where Vince McMahon will say, well, we're WWE. Wrestling fans will watch an 8+ hour WrestleMania because we're WWE. What are you going to do? Not watch it? I don't think so. When we say WrestleMania is going to be 10 hours, guess what you're going to do? You're going to sit there for 10 hours and you're going to watch stupid WWE because that's who we are.
Nope.
I think it's arrogance.
I'll fucking hang around with my boys, or I'll go do other shit. I'll do a 10-hour stream before I'll sit there and watch fucking 10 hours straight of shitty product, if that's what it's going to be. I'll tell you that much.
It wouldn't surprise me if the change was just Vince going, oh yeah, well, watch this. We'll swerve them good. It wouldn't surprise me. I think that arrogance exists in someone who is that far out of touch with reality.
Now, I kind of want to segue for a second, because we said we were going to tie up the WrestleMania talk, and we've still managed to keep it going. But it bears mentioning. So it is what it is. But another possible, this is like, you really got to search for this fucking diamond in the rough here. Like I mentioned about Monday Night Raw, not only the hopeful shit with Alexa Bliss and the Fiend, seeing where this goes, but we mentioned about the Hurt Business being broken up at the end of Monday Night Raw, which again was a disappointment, much like Night 2 of Mania, because there was no big shock and awe as there traditionally has been on the Raw after Mania. We usually get some sort of big return and call ups from NXT. We got a returning Viking Raiders team, and they went over against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, former of the Hurt Business. So, like, yeah, I'm glad to have the Viking Raiders back, but it wasn't like a big shock and awe, debut or anything like that. It was there. And it was literally in the middle of, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the middle of the show. So again, not a big fucking important spot. What happened at the end of the night was a triple threat match between, oh my God, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, and that young up-and-comer Randy Orton, fresh off of his win off the Fiend. that was supposed to determine the number one contender to Lashley, to have a match with Lashley at WrestleMania Backlash, which I hate that fucking name. Why is it not just Backlash? I digress. McIntyre wins, and at the end of it, we get MVP coming out on stage, and then we get Mace and T-Bar of the now debunked Retribution come out and beat up on McIntyre. So now we potentially have them working with MVP. Maybe they'll be in the Hurt Business, maybe not. The only bright spot from this is maybe, just maybe, we won't have them called fucking Slap Nuts and Dick Bar and fucking Boomerang and fucking Boomer Quanger and whatever.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll get Dio Madden and Dominic Dijakovic, and they won't be wearing fucking Mad Max / BDSM get up anymore. I don't know. Hopefully.
Now, do they still call it the Hurt Business? Do they repackage this stable as something completely new? Or does it even matter? What are your thoughts on that?
Hashtag reasons. That would be my response to that. But I would say they probably, as long as MVP is still there, as long as there's still some sort of founding member of the Hurt Business there, then I say it's still the Hurt Business. I'd say as long as MVP is still involved, I say it's the Hurt Business still.
It's option C. It doesn't matter. None of this
there's
matters.
That's too. None of this matters. Welcome to WWE, where the fucking points don't matter, and all the scenarios are made up on the fly.
Real quick tweet by Sean Sapp of Fightful.com. This is so much money, and they're gonna fucking blow it. But how good would this match be? The four horsewomen being Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky versus Bianca Belair, Raquel Gonzalez, Rhea Ripley, Dakota Kai, Survivor Series. How good of a fucking match would that be?
I saw somebody put that on one of our wrestling groups on Facebook, and I will say this: I'm here for it, but replace Dakota Kai with Asuka.
I see that,
and I'd be here for it. No offense to Dakota Kai, but honestly, when I think of like the new class of possible new horsewomen, I don't think Dakota Kai is in that namesake. I feel like Asuka is, because she was the dominant champion. Hell, I'd say, who do we say? What we said: Rhea Ripley, Raquel Gonzalez, Bianca Belair. I say you could throw in Asuka. I'd say, to a degree, if they start to build her back up, you could put in Shayna Baszler, because God knows they fucking haven't done much with her on Raw. Yeah, she may be a tag champ, but I mean, she's fucking grouped with Dark Chungus, so I mean, that's just meh, whatever.
Also, real quick, let's end the podcast on a high note, because that's what you do. You end on a high note, Vince.
Preach.
Both AEW and NXT Wednesday Night War No More. It seems like both of them moving to separate nights has been beneficial to them. NXT coming up with 805,000, which is well above what they've been typically drawing in. And AEW at the highest rating that they've had since their debut at 1.219 million.
Jeez.
Fantastic.
Yeah, those are pretty fucking good numbers.
The pretty good number is an understatement. That's outstanding.
Now, AEW did have Mike Tyson, so, there's that. But, I mean, outside of that, they weren't really advertising too much. NXT coming off the head of a great pay-per-view. I don't know what people were expecting. But, I mean, both shows were great. And we finally got the question of when's Kushida going to get his. I'm a little sad that it's the Cruiserweight title and not the North American title, but... a man can dream, and maybe someday they're actually going to put together an actual honest-to-God junior heavyweight division and have it be decent.
Yeah, I was
not a 205 Live.
I was very surprised by Escobar dropping that how he did.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
It was. But again, Kushida getting the win is cool, and there's still that potential. You could throw Pete Dunne in the mix too, because he's the bruiserweight. It's I don't know. I feel like the cruiserweight title. I feel like it has more legitimacy on NXT, anyways, rather than like I never watched 205 Live. It's not that I'm not like
No.
For me, it's not even a matter of the product isn't good because they put on fantastic matches, but I there was never anything for me to get invested in. Like I don't know, I just didn't have a good reason. It's got to be more than just the in-ring matches. You got to give me some storylines. You got to give me give me some sort of emotional give me emotionally engaged,
It didn't seem like they did that.
Yeah,
What's that?
Sorry, guys,
It didn't seem like they did that.
Yeah, for me it didn't. I don't know. Maybe I need to take a closer look at it. I don't know.
No, you're not wrong. The problem is that like the pie in the sky on 205 Live was their cruiserweight title, which WWE has treated like a joke every time it's been used. Only since it's become the NXT cruiserweight title, I think is it really starting to gain some polish.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. I'd like to see a guy like Ricochet go down and start dabbling with it. I'd like to see
wouldn't that be
Pete
nice?
Dunne. Yeah, right. Take a guy who's fucking sitting in catering every week and get him involved. I'd like to see Pete Dunne get involved. I'd like to see Devlin continue to be there. Take a guy like Ciampa. He's right around the 205 mark. Like, have him cut some weight. He could put on some classics. That's what I'm saying. And that's the one thing. So if put a gun to my head, you say the one thing that Impact did better than anybody else in the world, other than Samoa Joe, was the X Division title.
Yeah.
Because the tagline was it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. It didn't matter if you were 305, it didn't matter if you were 185, it didn't matter if you were 105. Who cares? If you can go out there and perform and put on a great cruiserweight style, junior heavyweight style match, you had a chance at it. I think that the NXT Cruiserweight Championship could potentially be that, and with Kushida holding it, I have no doubt that it will be down the line.
Yeah.
So my burning question coming off of Beef and his ratings is, if the trend continues, if we continue to see NXT rise on Tuesday, if we continue to see AEW numbers rise on Wednesday, when AEW decides to put on their second show, the only other night we have is Thursday that's not, consumed by WWE or AEW. Do you think they put on back-to-back nights? Or do you think they say, well, we don't want to do back-to-back nights, so we're going to have to either do Monday and Friday, go up against Raw or SmackDown, or, do we do back-to-back nights and we do Tuesday now instead of Thursday, and once again go back-to-back with NXT? What's the smart play?
Well, and there's Saturday too. WCW had a Saturday night tradition. WWF had, Saturday night main event. So I mean, there's.
I think the better question to answer with the question is, what will the network allow them to do? Because if we remember correctly, whenever AEW was first going to start off, wasn't they had trademarks and stuff that they were going to have for Tuesday Night Dynamite.
I thought it was Thursday Night Dynamite.
I thought it was supposed to be Tuesday. In any case, regardless, it ended up on Wednesday because that's what the network gave them. So I think it's a better question of what's the network going to allow them to have. You have to think of what's going to interfere less with, basketball whenever it's in season, baseball whenever it's in season, because those are all usually, basketball's big on TNT, baseball's big on TBS, assuming they stick within the Turner networks, which I can't see why they wouldn't. However, you never know what could happen. Because look at what WWE's done with being on USA and on Peacock, and
Fox, three
Fox,
completely separate. You have fucking Fox, you have Viacom, and you have fucking NBC. Like three completely separate, entities.
Yeah. So I mean,
I almost feel like though at this juncture, like it mattered from a network standpoint, like what they would let them have at the beginning, because AEW wasn't established as a weekly television program. Now that the Turner networks have seen the powers that be, have seen the success of Dynamite, I almost wonder if it's going to be less what they will allow and more what AEW wants, because now they're tried and true and they're proven. They're getting the big ass viewership.
Well, and it's because they're the hot new product, and if they keep this upward trend, they're going to be able to have carte blanche. If for no other reason than Tony Khan can look and go, all right, we'll go over here because I have the money to make this work.
There is that.
Yeah.
So I mean, they'll have the clout.
I'm sure that Cody is absolutely chomping at the bit to put a show on Monday nights. I know he is, because of what we've seen with Cody before. But again, I'm going to use this phrase a second time. Let's remember the sins of Impact past. Anybody remember January 4th of, I think it was 2016 or 17? I do. That's the night that Impact went live on Monday night, head-to-head, with Hulk Hogan debuting. And I remember thinking, oh, that's a risky gamble, because they were right at that line where it's like, man, this is a really good show. If they continue to grow their fan base, they could compete with Raw. Dixie said, we have Hulk Hogan. We're competing with Monday Night Raw. And it's like, and sure enough, like I think 2 or 3 months later, they, whelped away with their tail between their legs. I think that Tony Khan, I think that the rest of the elite is smarter than that. They know that they have some growing to do. They know that they're not perfect, and that they need to continue to grow before they actually put on a charge. And at the end of the day, let's remember the mantra. AEW consistently says they're not about competition. They are about a different product. They're about giving you a different option, not about competition. So, I'm sure Cody would love it, but I can't see them going head-to-head against Raw. Maybe SmackDown, but I think, honestly, they'd have a better shot against Raw.
I do have one other bright point to bring up, and then I don't know if anybody else has anything. I just want to say, if anybody has not already watched the Broken Skull session with Chris Jericho on it, go watch it. It was really good.
So good.
And surprisingly, the three letters that you thought you'd never hear on a WWE show came up quite a bit.
Yes.
Not to the point where it was ad nauseum, but it was brought up and it was acknowledged. And I thought it was a very well done interview. And they even both said, like, well, we weren't even sure what was going to happen, and we weren't sure we were going to be allowed. And it was like, Steve went to Vince and said, hey, I'd like to have him on. Is it okay? And he said, yeah, go ahead.
That's a great idea.
And he's like, are you sure? And he just wanted to make sure, because it's like, oh, this is the forbidden door here. Like,
and the thing, and sorry to interrupt you, Tom, but like the thing with this is the thing. I think it's because McMahon trusted Jericho to be prudent and professional, because he has always conducted himself as such, and yes, he absolutely was. And he made a very clear point to not only thank Tony Khan, but also to thank Vince McMahon for allowing that to happen. And that was smart. That was so smart, because it sets the precedent for AEW to constantly take the high ground.
Yep. And
tell you what this... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and if they're smart, they'll continue to do that. I think we're past, unless it's somebody that's just coming on, like somebody that just got to AEW that had been sitting on the sidelines for the last 6 months waiting on their contract to run out. Of course, there's going to be some angst, and you want to draw from real life emotions and stuff like that. I get that, but you don't want to beat a dead horse. And I think that if that's something that they find that a lot of their people are doing. I think at some point Tony Khan or whoever will be like, hey, listen, why don't we, lay off the shit a little bit here? Like, we get it, but let's not beat the dead horse. You're here, let's make the most of this and let the angst go there to a degree. But yeah, again, both sides being very professional, and Steve, bringing it up and being very inquisitive about, the starts of AEW and stuff like that with Chris, how he was involved and everything like that. It was a very enjoyable conversation, a good way to go kill a couple hours if you have it, or break it up into small sections if you got to. But definitely go back and watch that Broken Skull Sessions with Chris Jericho. It's the most recent episode that there is currently.
The other one that was really good is the one with Drew McIntyre.
I'll have to go back and watch that because I haven't watched a Broken Skull session for so damn long anyways. It's not like I was normally following them as they came out. But this one I definitely did not want to miss just because of the impetus of like, oh my God, are they going to mention AEW? Are they not? Like, what's going to go on here? Like, how's this going to play out? And, it was well done. And
it would literally be not mentioning the elephant in the room. Like, they had to do it. They absolutely had to do it.
You couldn't not mention it.
And honestly, for those who don't already think it or are not in the opinion of Jericho being one of the greatest of all time, really, if you go back and reflect on the things that they talk about in this Broken Skull session, and you really lay it out there, like, even Jericho says it himself. He's like, I don't try to be, all puffery and, very egotistical. He's like, but man, reflecting on this, I go back and look and I'm like, wow, yeah, that was really great. Like I've done a lot of great stuff, and it's true. He is one of the greatest of all time. And it's just, like you said, Puda, consummate professional, and everything like that. It was just very, very enjoyable time. So I wanted to mention that before I forgot about it.
Yeah, dude.
And much like Beef said, you send the fans home happy. And for me,
yeah, man,
this gives me light. If Vince McMahon is willing to let Chris Jericho come on the Broken Skull sessions, I feel like that opens up the door to sooner rather than later, perhaps, seeing Chris Jericho go into the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, maybe there's a drastic difference between going on Steve Austin's podcast and being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame when you're an active AEW competitor, but it gives me hope that we're not going to have to wait until Chris Jericho completely retires from wrestling to see him go into the WWE Hall of Fame and have that Hall of Fame acceptance speech and be able to talk about his Hall of Fame career. That gives me hope right there. That's a bright spot.
Anybody got anything else to add before we
Hey, welcome to Moe's.
Moe's? Oh, what? Moe's. Oh,
Burrito time.
I haven't been to Moe's in forever. Beef, you got anything else you want to touch on?
I just had Moe's the other night.
Beef?
Oh man, I think we did a pretty good job tonight. I mean, like just to kind of reiterate, we're not sitting here cheering that these people have been left off of WWE.
No.
We are simply trying to make lemonade out of the piss that is WWE. So, which is, kind of an art of ours. So, all that being said, yeah, I mean, good luck, and with no tongue-in-cheek at all. Good luck in their future endeavors. Hope that they do achieve those things that we are hoping for them. Especially Samoa Joe, man. Dude, Go Joe. Go Joe.
Go Joe. Go Joe. Go. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into this post-WrestleMania P3 podcast. We really appreciate you listening. And we also really, really, really appreciate you giving us a like on Facebook And, keeping an eye out on there for P3 podcast stuff. That's Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast on Facebook. You can also find us over on the YouTubes, and you might want to subscribe to us and hit that notification bell. There, I did the thing. Give us a subscriber there. Again, just search for Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast. You can also go ahead and find us anywhere you get quality podcasts from. Okay, you can go ahead and do that. You can get us on Spotify. You can get us on Google Podcasts. You can get us on iTunes. You can get us wherever quality podcasts are. In fact, I'm really going to take advantage of my star date, April 15th. That's today. I'm going to take advantage of that voice while I still have it. You need to follow us there. Also, you might want to go check out our sponsors as well. We're going to start here with Mr. Frigoff Ransom. You're going to get the keynote this time, buddy. And you check out his YouTube channel, Frigoff Ransom. It's fantastic. And also, not going to lie, Ransom, got all the warm and fuzzies from your last video. Thank you, buddy. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I enjoyed mixing up my routine. In fact, I changed up my routine today just based on the stuff that we did. And I'll tell you more about that when we're done. But check out Frigoff Ransom on YouTube. He's hilarious. He has great timing, and there's a lot of videos over there. So check him out and give him a subscribe. Why don't ya? Also, thank you very much to our very own casual gaming dad himself, Mr. Tiger.
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom, our resident P3 Chooserweight champion. And his page, Casual Gaming Dad, on Facebook. That is Casual Gaming Dad. Join Casual Gaming Dad's Corner as well. So give both of them a like and check out the games that he plays. Plays some Among Us on Tuesday. He plays a lot of other awesome games. And how are the races going, Tom? How's the league?
Let's see. What are we on right now? What week? I think we're on like week 13 right now. So I would be overall record of 11-2.
That's pretty damn good.
Leading my division with a nice healthy lead. I've had four divisional matchups, and I've won all of them. I've got 2 more divisional matchups here before the end of the season. This week's game, we'll see. It's Flicky for Sega.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's a weird game. It's a weird game.
It's weird. But you know what? Even if I take a loss this week, I feel confident moving forward that I'll win this division, and hopefully we'll get a deep postseason run. So
good deal.
Yeah.
And that's speed running league, by the way. There, it's the the Retro Gaming League is what it's called.
Facebook Retro Gaming League. We get different games each week, and it's not always just speed run. Sometimes it's high score, sometimes it's progression, sometimes it's speed. We try to keep it interesting depending on the game and what we're presented week to week. Which they also, I'm going to shamelessly plug, we also have a podcast for the FB Retro Gaming League. So there you go. Check that out too.
Yeah, there you go. Check that out. And make sure you join, again, Casual Gaming Dads. And also, you can find him on YouTube. You can find the VODs on Casual Gaming Dad on YouTube. And you'll know it because he's the only one on there. And Casual Gaming Dad 84 on Twitch. We also want to thank Sean Tischler and his work with IWC in Clearfield. And congratulations to all of the wrestlers that were involved in AEW Dark, and pushing their careers forward and getting that exposure that they need so that they can chase their dreams. Also, again, congratulations to Mr. Mambo Italiano and his very successful Wrestlemania weekend. And we also want to thank Gould Gaming for having awesome Casual Gaming Dad merch over on Gould Gaming. Just search Casual Gaming Dad, and especially the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast t-shirt, which is available over there, not for $49.99, for a very reasonable price, and they are very high quality shirts. You saw us wearing them on our live broadcast that we did, not in Philadelphia, not in New York, not in North Carolina, not yelling tonight, not feeling the scream, but in down Pittsburgh way the other weekend for WrestleMania. You can see the shirts and you go, man, I want one of those. Buy all of them. Buy 1 million of them. Buy $49.99 worth if you want to. And I also want to go ahead and thank myself, Mr. Poot the Bard, and my channel, which I haven't uploaded a video to in a long time because I am very scrutinizing and I'm also hypercritical. So there you go. But still, check out Poot the Bard on YouTube. There's a lot of great backlogs of games from when I was just a little tiny YouTuber and didn't know what I was doing. There's a lot of Binding of Isaac stuff, and I've been working on some Binding of Isaac Repentance. There was a new update to that game, so I'm going to put some videos up for that. Thank you guys very much again for listening and for enjoying.
By the way, we actually just saw we actually just sold a shirt last week from the Go Gaming page. You guys know where it went to?
Let me guess, it went to Mr. Bob Gray.
North Carolina.
I'm going to murder you in your sleep so hard. You remember all those punches I didn't give you on WrestleMania weekend? I'm just going to save them for next WrestleMania weekend. Although that beef, that was very clever. I will give you that. Round of applause. Round of applause for beef. That was mighty clever. I will give you that. That was very good beef. Proud of you. Because I'm not up for yelling, you were. That's why we're good buddies. That's why we'd be a great tag team. Because you pick up where I leave off and I pick up where you leave off. It's absolutely fantastic. Have a wonderful week for myself, the Barbarian, Poot the Bard, Ransom the Madman, Mr. Beef the Legend, and of course the best damn Cruiserweight champion there's ever been, Mr. Tiger.
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom, have a wonderful, wonderful week.
North Suvide City. No, I did it wrong. Damn it.